we're gonna make you do squats and sit-ups the entire time I talk. So, and I can talk for a long time. So, you guys are gonna be really buff by the time you leave here. Thanks, Ryan. Thanks for putting this on. This is great. I look forward to this since the last one. It's a really fun time to talk about fitness, maybe some personal challenges and things like that. Want to go around the room and see how everybody's doing today. How are you feeling?
Super.
Good? Good?
Energized.
Energized, that's great. Have you ever gone up to someone that said, I am terrible? And that's the answer that you get from them. Let me tell you a little story here. I went to CU Boulder, and I had this friend from Boston, and he had this crazy thick Boston accent. He, very sarcastic, great guy, funny. And every time he would run into someone would say, hey, how you doing? He'd say, oh, terrible, man. And the reaction that people would have to this answer was pretty unique. Some people would say, oh, I'm really sorry to hear about that. Others would say, others would laugh and they would note his sarcasm and his Boston accent. But it's really got me thinking over the years. We tend to say we're doing great, and we never say what's on our mind. Sometimes we cover things up, and it's been a topic of thought for me for several years now. So a little bit of background about me. I was a great B student all throughout my life, high school, college. Strong B student, never a great test taker. I was on a swim team. I achieved some personal goals, but by the time I got to high school, my goal was to make it to the States. I finally did, but I got absolutely demolished when I finally got to States in the 100 breaststroke. Earlier, the year before, I tried out for the soccer team in the off season for swimming. I got cut. I was one of the only two people. It was a very embarrassing thing that happened to me. Later on, after graduating from CU, I had a psychology degree. So what do you do with a psych degree? You look for jobs or employers that would want to hire you. I was interested in business more than psychology. And I just started thinking, this is just, I think I just spent 4 years and a lot of money. Where did it get me? So the reason I'm telling you this is because obviously, I wouldn't have it any other way in my life. I've had a lot of failures in my life. I've done a lot of things that maybe some people wouldn't do, but I've exposed myself to a lot of failures. And we all expose ourselves at different levels. But I just wanted to kind of have an open discussion with you guys today and share some of my personal experiences, and maybe something I say here will strike a chord with you guys. But this is something that I'm involved with every day. I have a startup. It's called Gymfinite. And I started this last year. Essentially what it is a multiple gym membership. So Pearl Street Fitness is one of our 34 locations. We sell a membership, allows people to work out at all 34 of those locations whenever they'd like. You think, wow, that's really, I get it all the time. That's a great idea. Like, why isn't anybody else doing that? Well, I thought it was an easy thing too when I first started it. I had some major challenges to overcome. Technology has become the #1 thing that we had to solve. Fitness businesses like Pearl Street Fitness, they have these, people coming in at times for classes that, there's limited space here. Maybe they can only fit 10 or 12 people in a class. Well, if we're going to send somebody in from Gymfinite, we want to make sure that that spot is available for them and ready for them. The reason I'm telling you all this is, just give a little background about myself. I'm in the startup world. I talk to people all the time that are in the startup world. And there's a 50% failure rate after the first year for startups. After 4 years, it's a 95% failure rate. Pretty significant if you think about it. And I didn't come here to talk about startups, but there's a lot of parallels, between startups, personal lives, fitness, and all of that. When I first started talking to Ryan and he asked me if I wanted to speak here, I said I'd love to. And immediately I thought, I know what the title's going to be. It's going to be Failure. And Ryan said, well, okay, let's think of another name for this. Let's put this in kind of nicer terms. We don't want to scare people away. There's a common theme that I've found in the last 10 years of my life that in the startup world, when it comes to fitness, when it comes to my personal life, and when it comes to talking to other people and asking them how I can help them. And that is failure. People don't really like to talk about it. I have only in the last couple of years come to realize, this failure is something that you can build on. You can have failure and success. And failure can cause success, and it can go the other way around too. Success can cause failure. If you think about it, we're going along and we have a great success, and all of a sudden we become lazy. Maybe we achieve one of our goals here in the gym, and we've made it to the state level, to the states in swimming. And actually, that was the last time I swam competitively, was in states, because I had achieved my goal. There were other things going on. Swimming is a very challenging thing to endure for 10 or 12 years of your life and then continue on with it. But I wanted to come here and just ask you guys to think about one failure that you've experienced. It could be recent, it could be in your past, but something that you haven't really shared with too many people. And I wanted to just take a quick pause for you guys to do that, because I think this is a really good exercise in bringing it to the front of your mind. And then we're going to do something really quickly here when you have a second. So I'll give you guys just a quick pause, just to think about that failure. You can close your eyes or do whatever you'd like. So, did everybody get a chance to think about something? Okay, good. I want to ask all of you, is this something that you would talk to other people about right now? Is anyone willing to share? Okay. Oh, yeah.
I might have got arrested once.
You got arrested once. This is great. That's fantastic. I'm glad to hear that. So that's very interesting, and thank you for sharing that.
I was 17. So
You were 17, it doesn't matter. It could have been when you were in your 20s or 30s. It doesn't really matter. The fact is that when you start thinking about it and telling people about this, maybe we have someone in this audience who's been arrested before, and they say, you know what, it happened to me too. And right now, sure, there's some people out here I think that it did happen to. I will admit, I have been arrested as well, and I was very young. It was for a speeding ticket that I never took care of. Bringing up this in conversation and talking about your failures really opens the conversation to other people. You'll find that when you talk about things that have happened in your life, that maybe there's a challenge in front of you, maybe it's in the gym and you just can't hit that record that you've been going for, or you can't get to a certain time, in running or biking. Sometimes when you talk to people about this type of thing, you'll find that most people really want to help. And in this room, I'd be willing to bet that every single one of you would want to help somebody, even if you didn't know that that person needed, someone around you needed help. I was in a discussion about 6 months ago, and it was a larger crowd, and the person talking said, who here would want to help somebody? And I think every single person in the room raised their hand. But if you think about it, they're really, you have to connect the people who need help with those who are willing to help. And that is a very challenging thing to do because, people might not want to talk about being arrested, or I may not want to talk about business failure. And I'll share a little story about that. I have been an entrepreneur for, I don't know, I think all my life, but I've just recently decided that entrepreneur is just, I think, a French word for I don't know what I'm doing. And in 2006, I had my last formal job. I worked for an oil and gas company, and an opportunity presented itself to put together a little plot of land. It was 70 acres down in Texas, and put together my own little oil and gas drilling project. And I figured, you know what? I work for an oil and gas company. This makes me qualified to do this. I've always had this spirit of doing something on my own. I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna do it. So I quit the job. I put together this 1-year lease for this 70 acres. And I had never even been down to see the plot. So I was doing this all from Denver, and all just, I can do this, I'm confident, I can get this done. Well, long story short, I'm gonna condense this down into about 30 seconds. I never put the deal together. I put my own money into this, I put the people together, and the deal expired. And to me, this was devastating, because I had spent a good part of my life thinking about doing something on my own. And then I spent some time during that year, people are saying, hey, Seth, what are you doing? I'm working on this project. It's gonna be great. The upside is great. Well, I hit the downside big time. And I felt like I was in a bubble. I felt like I didn't want to talk about this. I didn't want to tell people about my failures. What I learned was a very interesting thing happened. When I told people that the project had not been completed and I had to kind of move on, I started looking at jobs and things like that. I actually heard from a lot of friends, and they said, I can't believe you did that in the first place. And to me, it was eye-opening, because I just thought that people would look at me and say, it was a failure, you didn't make the deal happen. But the fact is that failures happen every day. And I really want you guys to start thinking about that if you don't already, and think about how you can help other people who may be in a similar situation. Maybe they've had failures, maybe they're going through something in their life, but realize that people aren't always going to reach out to you to get that help. On the same token, I want you to reach out to other people and tell other people the help that you need, and maybe start talking about your failures as well. Just start this conversation around how can other people help me, and how can I help other people? I've met with over 100 fitness businesses in Denver in the last year. And to me, this is one of the most exciting things that I do. Every time I leave that business and I'm finished talking to the owner, right before I leave, I say, how can I help? Is there anything I can do to help? And now I ask that no matter where I am and who I'm talking to, and whether or not they're even interested in participating in Gymfinite. I know that by just asking that one thing, it allows me to connect with that business owner and say, there's something else here. It's not just about building both of our businesses and joining together in our businesses. It's about finding out what the real issue is. And the real issue and the common theme has been the term or the phrase, I need help. And allowing somebody in, like myself, is a very humbling experience for me. I mean, when a business owner says, I need help with bringing new members through the door. My marketing isn't that strong. I'm good at fitness, but I'm not good at marketing. I'm having a tough time finding trainers. All of that is very important for me to hear, because I know that there's something that I can do to help. Whether it's connect one fitness business owner with another, or maybe even just spread the word about this new gym that opened that I think that people would really enjoy working out at. So those are just the main points that I wanted to talk to you guys about, and I wanted to kind of open it up and see if anybody had another failure that they'd like to talk about, and maybe their own personal experiences with dealing with your friends or family or someone who's gone through something, and maybe a unique way that you've helped them solve that issue. Anybody?
Kind of similar. I'm thinking about, a lot of us may not do something because of the fear of failure.
Right.
One of my good friends is a little overweight. He wants to do yoga, but he's just intimidated by, the real simple poses, and you can't really get into those postures. So it's that fear of failure, not so much actually failing. What's the advice to kind of get over that inertia to really jump in? And even a group training program like this, you don't really know what it is until you do it, and so there's kind of that challenge right in front of you. Yeah, what I've found, my own personal experiences, and by no means am I an expert, and I might be an expert in failure, if nothing else, but you always tend to be more harsh on yourself. And what you're thinking about yourself when you walk into a place like this, and maybe you've got some pounds to shed, maybe you're out of shape. I hear from people just about every week that say, I'd love to get in a fitness routine, but I can't seem to overcome this mental barrier of just getting in for the first time. I don't want to be sore for a week. Everybody else is going to be running faster than me. What I've found in my own personal life is that, when I'm a part of a team that has been working out for a long time, and someone else comes in who's, hasn't been working out recently, I think that type of person coming in builds the team even more. That strong team that's already here, it allows them to kind of help out somebody who's been in their shoes before. And I personally, I think it helps kind of build that culture around a group of fitness enthusiasts who have been doing it for a while, and really is just a great thing for building culture. So.
So I always felt like I was expected to achieve in the field of athletics, and I did pretty well for no bigger than I was. I started coaching. I was probably one of the first women soccer coaches in the state of Iowa. I am a little older than most of the people sitting in here. And so was an assistant coach, then went back to track, then was asked to come back and be the head coach. And I don't feel like I really ever achieved the max of what I could have achieved. I got excited one day because we beat a team that we had beat for a long time. So I don't know if I ever reached the peak in coaching that I really wanted to reach. I had 60 girls and one person to help me, so that was a challenge in itself. But I just never reached that peak in coaching that I'd like to. I don't know that I feel like it was a failure, but it's still there, and I think that's why I came back into become a personal trainer, to study to be a personal trainer, because I really want to see people succeed, and whether it's on an individual basis or whether it's on a group basis. So.
That's great. Thanks for sharing that. That's, goals can change. Sometimes you set a personal goal for yourself that's just way out there, and you get to that point and you say, I didn't quite make it, but what else can I do, and what other goal can I set to kind of rescope my whole focus now. The fact that you've thought about that since that has happened tells me that maybe in your mind it was a failure at the time, but you continued to think about it and you turned that into a success in your life. You're back for more. So that's great to hear. Anybody else want to share something? I know talking about failure sucks. Yeah.
I have not so much a story, but I guess a comment to piggyback off of this, and that's that it's not necessarily, oh, I did it or it's a failure. Sometimes you can go kind of what Seth was talking about. You can go 3/4 or even 90% of the way there, and you accomplished 9 out of the 10 things that you set out to do. But since you didn't accomplish it completely, then you feel like, I failed at that. And I think that I kind of struggle with that a little bit too, in that, you've done so many good things, but yet you're continually grasping higher and higher. And when you don't get there, or if you're stalled, then you think, well, this sucks. I failed at this. I'm not reaching my goal. And I think that's a difficult thing to grasp and to not, like you said, you're your toughest critic. And so I think sometimes we need to give ourselves a little pat on the back, say, we're not doing quite so bad.
Yeah. Have you ever talked to anyone about, maybe you didn't reach that goal and kind of told people about how you may have failed to reach your final goal?
No, I mean, I'm also trying to get kind of in the startup industry, I guess, and I kind of feel on some days like, oh, well, I'm making progress here. I'm starting to write a business plan, I'm getting things together, but then other days I'm questioning, what the heck am I doing? Like, am I crazy? Am I nuts? And so, some days and some parts of days, I think you kind of feel like you're a failure, and then other days you have better days where you're like, yeah, I'm not doing so bad, I'm making progress on this. But I guess that's about it.
Spoken like a true entrepreneur. I don't know what I'm doing. It's perfect. Thanks for sharing that. I really appreciate that. I've interviewed several people over the course of the last 12 months, and there's nothing I dislike more than a candidate who just talks all these great things about themselves. So I usually try to cut it off and say, what aren't you good at? Where do you fall short? Because we all fall short, and we can't all do everything. I've gotten into really negatively selling the success and the benefit of joining my company. So, someone comes to me and they say, hey, Seth, I really like to be a part of this. I'm a great person. I do sales. I say, that's great. I'd love to hear about that. What hasn't worked? Why are you here? Have you not found the right thing that you like? And just kind of start that conversation. Some people are very open to it. Most people are surprised that that I'm trying to convince them not to become a part of my company. It's not for everyone. And I want people to understand that this isn't easy. Going to work every day, a 9-to-5 job, is not easy. Going to the gym and starting up your routine after you haven't done this for a year is not easy. But once you start that, and once you realize what those sticking points are of getting out of bed, or finding the time to get a babysitter, or getting down to the gym and finding the transportation to do that. Those are all things that once you solve those and you figure out where the failing points are and what could possibly stop you from doing something and moving forward and building a business or starting something, I think that's when you really start to identify the best way to do it. And maybe the ways that you might talk yourself out of it, and then you can start talking to other people and say, I've got a transportation problem right now and I can't figure it out. Maybe that person says, we've got B-Cycle or Car2Go, or, there's a gym close to you that I think would be a really good fit for you. That's the type of help that I think, you could ask for. So.
Okay. Thanks, Seth.
Thanks a lot.